In this video, we're going to see how we use numbers in standard form in calculations. Let's look at this example. Now, we're asked to add these two numbers written in standard form. So it's 4.2 times 10 to the power of 4 plus 7.3 times 10 to the power of 5. Now, this is somewhat the same with fractions. Remember, in fractions you have to equate the denominators. Here, in standard form, you have to have the same power of 10 so that you can do additions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as 4.2 times 10 to the power of 4. I don't do anything for the first one, but here I'm going to write this as 7.3 times 10 times 10 to the power of 4. Well, you can see that actually 10 is 10 to the power of 1, and just because these powers of 10 are in multiplication, I can add the powers like 1 plus 4 being 5. So what I did was I just took one of the 10s out of this index form. And I'm going to have this second number to be now 7.3 times 10 would be 73 times 10 to the power of 4. Now I have the same power of 10 to the power of 4. This means I can add these numbers, 4.2 and 73. So it's going to be 4.2 plus 73 times 10 to the power of 4, which would be 77.2 times 10 to the power of 4. So the idea is that I have to break the power of 10 into appropriate powers of 10 so that I can equate the powers. Another example. Now, as you can see, we have power of 10 to the power of 7 here and 10 to the power of 5 here. Now, I can write this 10 to the power of 7 as 10 squared times 10 to the power of 5. 2 plus 5 makes 7. So this means I can rewrite this number in standard form like 3.7 times 10 squared times 10 to the power of 5. And I don't do anything for this second number at the moment. If I multiply these two, I will have, because then I'm going to move the decimal point 2 digits, right? I will have 370, and it's going to be 370 times 10 to the power of 5 minus 5 times 10 to the power of 5. So basically, it's going to be 370 minus 5 times 10 to the power of 5 if you take into common parentheses of 10 to the power of 5. And the result would be 365 times 10 to the power of 5. Now, if the question would ask me to write my answer, which is this one, in standard form, I had to convert this to 2 digits here to 3.65, right, times 10 squared, this is 365, times 10 to the power of 5, so it will be 3.65 times 10 to the power of 7 if the question was to ask me to write down my answer in standard form. But if it doesn't, this is perfect. When it comes to multiplication, you don't need to make the powers of 10 the same. You just write down the numbers. You just consider the numbers and powers of 10 separately. You multiply 3 and 2.5, which would be 7.5, and then you multiply 10 to the power of 5 and 10 to the power of 7. Basically, you add the powers, so it's going to be 10 to the power of 12, and we're done. So basically, when it's multiplying numbers in standard form, you multiply numbers separately, powers separately, and write the answer accordingly. Let's see another example. As in multiplication, when it comes to division, you just consider numbers separately, powers of 10 separately. So basically, this means you can consider 4 divided by 5 separately, which you would end up with 0.8. And then you can deal with the powers of 10 separately. 10 to the power of 8 divided by 10 to the power of 2. So you take away the powers, you end up with 10 to the power of 6. Now, if the question would ask you to write this in standard form, how would you be writing? You would move the decimal point 1 digit right, so that you would have 8. But just because you're moving right, this means you're multiplying by 10, you have to divide by 10, meaning you have to take away 1 from this power, so you end up with 8 times 10 to the power of 5. Or you can also consider the following. You can say, instead of moving the point, you could consider this. You could write 0.8 times 10 times 10 to the power of 5. You can take one of the 10s in this index number out, so that you can consider this multiplication and end up with 8 times, because 0.8 times 10 is 8, times 10 to the power of 5. This will be in standard form. Now is your turn. Please solve these in your book and submit your answers online. Thank you.